After losing their leader, Alicia Froling, to a knee injury back in October, a crushing blow to a group trying to adjust to a changing culture under second-year head coach Travis Mays. And today, SMU will have a little bit of a size advantage as you see their lineup. Stephanie Collins sitting at 6'5" in the post. And Temple, they're going from size to a little bit of small ball. Back to what worked for them earlier this season. Today, Atkinson moves back to the 4 from the 3. What will that do for them in this lineup going a little bit smaller today?
Well, I think Coach Cardoza is looking for that energy. She wants her team to push the pace and play aggressive, and going small is going to help them with that.
Cardoza, her 10th season, coming off that banner year last year, 24-8, and was named co-coach of the year in the American along with Gino Ariema from UConn. And SMU controls the opening tip. Nice ball movement early for the Mustangs, and it nets them their first bucket of the game. Kiara Perry getting it to go. You see the pressure applied by SMU. They've been known for their defense last year in their first year under Travis Mays. It's been off and on a little spotty this season, though.
And it's one thing that Temple has to be able to handle. They've struggled handling presses during the season because they're missing their main point guard, Aaliyah Butts. So how they handle the basketball is huge.
Atkinson, 2 seconds to shoot, and does not get the Temple bounce. Now SMU pushing in transition. This is what they like to do, pushing it up, turning their defense into offense. Get it inside to Collins. Kick back out to Whitfield. Back iron and the rebound by Atkinson. And she loses a handle of the basketball, and getting it right back is Deja Thomas. Back to the full court pressure by SMU. And the runner does not fall for Imani Mayo.
And that's a good shot for her. That's a shot that she can normally hit.
And that is a nice looking shot by Mackenzie Adams. And what did Travis Mays tell us yesterday in terms of offense? Just shoot your shot. That is Adams' shot right there.
And she looks to pull from the 3 in transition. For some players, that's a bad shot. For Mackenzie Adams, that's not a bad shot at all.
And Khadijah Berger running the point here today for Temple. That was another change in the lineup for Tanya Cardoza. Berger had been out with a hand injury, or finger injury, I should say. As we take a look at Travis Mays in his second season, quite the background, a Texas Longhorn Hall of Famer as a player, spent a few seasons in the NBA, moved to the sidelines as a coach in the WNBA before becoming an assistant under a couple of Hall of Fame coaches, including Jody Conrad at Texas, then Van Chancellor at LSU, and then Andy Landers at Georgia. Got a lot of experience there before deciding to take on some head coaching duties, and he felt SMU was a good place to do that.
And he was really happy to come back to SMU, come back to Texas. He's got his jacket off already. He is an intense coach.
So intense, we watched practice yesterday, that I think his players got in more sprints than they did actual plays.
And he's such a teacher of the game. He has great attention to detail. He wants them to know his terminology. He wants them to know every little thing that he wants them to do.
8:02 here in the first quarter of play. So far, a good start for SMU. And a whistle. And a foul, offensive foul is called, so Temple will have it. And there is Tanya Cardoza, as we mentioned, in her 10th season, had that 24-8 finish, got into the NCAA tournament a year ago, and had some fantastic seniors on that team a year ago, lost all 5 of her starters, and sort of had to rebuild this year.
And she did lose all of her starters, and that's why Tanaya Atkinson is so huge. She came off the bench. She played starter minutes last season. She's bringing the most experience to this team this year.
As Sixth Man of the Year award went to Tanaya Atkinson, coming off the bench, as you mentioned, playing starter minutes, and now really having to lead the way. The difference this year, according to Tanya Cardoza, is that she could take a night off with all the players she had around her in years past, but not this year. It's really on her to guide this team.
And I think going with that, she's been handling it well. I mean, she's averaging a double-double for her team. Anytime someone's averaging a double-double, you know they're getting it done.
And as I mentioned, getting a little help from her friends, Mia Davis helping things out this season as well, as both teams were able to trade a couple of shots. SMU off to an excellent start here on the road. 0-2 in American Conference play after losses at home to Houston and UCF. That one hits the back iron. They do get the old board, and using that size in Collins, and she is not able to put it away. Ball sent well ahead at Atkinson, and it creates a turnover. Now SMU trying to take advantage. Adams baseline off the glass. And second attempt does not get it to fall, but does draw the foul.
Foul number 2, Brianna Perry. That's her first. Team's first.
So Perry with her first foul. And she was back in the starting lineup today. The biggest wing player that they have, again, going with a little bit of that smaller lineup. She adds a little bit of size, but when Collins is in the matchup for SMU, it's a tough force to reckon with in the paint.
And especially, you know, Mia Davis, she's a freshman. Trying to handle that size and that experience in the post, it's tough. It's a tough matchup for her. They talked about it a lot in practice yesterday, how she's going to guard and just try to keep the ball out of the post player's hands.
SMU has a couple of options in the post, and Collins at 6'5", and Clara Bradshaw at 6'6", a TCU transfer. We have not seen her in the lineup yet. Perry trying to go high to Atkinson and throws it away. And you see the frustration on the face of Atkinson and trying to be a leader and communicate to tell Perry exactly what went wrong on that play.
And that's a huge step up for her. She's the leader of this team, just helping the freshman out, telling her how to do it next time.
Turnaround shot up, and the basket waved off, and they're going to call a travel on Deja Thomas. Was a pretty move, though. She's off to a good start. The junior from Dallas, Texas.
And it looks like on the spin move, her left foot just hops off the ground, and that's a travel.
It's a second turnover for SMU. Both teams trading a couple here in the early going. 5:50 remaining in the first. And the kick out, and that is going to be an offensive foul. Oh my goodness, Tanaya Atkinson driving strong, and that is her first.
And that is tough defense by Kiera Perry. One thing Temple has to do is try to get movement on the offensive end. As soon as Atkinson caught the ball, everybody was standing. They have to get some movement around her to give her open lanes.
And that's a good point. It's been Atkinson leading the way and other players trying to emerge and step up. And it's a young Temple squad. As you see the shooting, very good so far in this opening first quarter for SMU. They're getting those shots to fall, and that's been problematic for a team that really hangs its hat on its defense. Their defense creates their offense. As you see, the ball does go down for Brianna Perry as she draws the foul. Nicely done.
And Brianna Perry, this is the shot by SMU, and the difference that leads to this shot is the help side. Khadijah Berger is all the way in help side, trying to help on the post. They kick it out to Ariana Whitfield, and she knocks it down.
A free throw, no good for Perry. He's a 41% free throw shooter. Temple as a team shoots 68% from the free throw line. Again, there's that good ball movement by SMU, and you see everybody on Collins there. And the offensive rebound picked up this time by Mayo. Atkinson inside, quickly draws the double team and the foul. And she's going to see that all day long. So Atkinson draws the foul, and right now it's SMU in the driver's seat on the road, up 14-6.
ESPN
here this afternoon, which certainly changes the scout of SMU if you're Temple.
Well, it's huge because Temple right now, they're playing small ball, so they're focusing heavy on the post players. They're helping in, which leaves guards open for shots if you get good ball movement, and SMU has been able to make the most of it.
Atkinson converts on her free throws. Cut the lead by SMU to 14-8. Adams baseline, tried to get her own miss, and the ball out of bounds. It will stay on this end with Dallas. Excuse me, I should say SMU out of Dallas. 6-9 on the season, 0-2 in the American. Coming off the 2 conference losses, as I mentioned, that was at home, and now fighting for everything that they can had a pretty good season last year under Travis Mays, and again, it sort of fell apart this year after losing Alicia Froling, who joined the team on this trip. But that was a huge loss because you're talking about losing your leader on the court, and it's so important for coaches to have that one player that can be that person.
And we talked to Coach Mays, and he compared her to Kobe Bryant in the way that she holds everybody accountable, makes everyone step up their game, and so they're definitely missing her.
Still trying to find the identity, and you see the foul is called here. This time Tanaya Atkinson will take it. Now she's kind of waving off her hand, and that's not good because they've had a couple of hand injuries on this Temple team. Berger again back after missing 2 matchups with an injured finger, and Desiree Oliver, she is out and has been for the last 4 matchups with a fractured hand. Another turnover. Adams not able to convert. Looks like she got hit in the face trying to get that shot to fall. It's Davis's first foul. Adams, a transfer from Arkansas, a senior, hails from Frisco, Texas. Again, as we mentioned in the onset, averages 18 points per game, 6th in the conference and 75th nationally with those 18 points per matchup. Just a volume shooter for SMU.
And she leads them by a long shot as far as field goal attempts. She's taking 15 to 17 shots per game, but when you've got the hot hand, that's completely fine.
Adams sinks her free throws, 79% free throw shooter. And there's a look at Alicia Froling making the trip. She's out of Australia. And the kid that just has everything a coach could ask for. She has the talent, she has the capability, she has the want to be the very best and to compete. Brings that to the practice court and to the game court as well. And missing in action because of an ACL injury back before the season started in October. Shot off the mark for Perry. Try to push it ahead to Atkinson. She will reset the offense. Three-pointer on the way and well off the mark. But the putback is there. Helping out Khadijah Berger, again back after missing 2 matchups with an injured finger.
And Khadijah Berger, she has that tape on her right hand. That's a shot I've seen her make multiple times all season. That might be interfering with her shot.
And I was going to ask about that, how that interferes with when you're shooting and you've got your fingers taped up the way she does. The last 2 fingers taped up because of injury, how that affects the shot and everything else you're doing, especially as a point guard.
Well, it's huge. I broke my left pinky when I played, and I'm right-handed, but it still affected my jump shot. And so you see, I mean, the grip that you have on the basketball, and it was a nice job by Tanaya Atkinson staying active on the rebound for the shot. But going back to that, the grip you have on the ball when you're shooting is so important. So tape is definitely going to be a factor.
Berger, not even really a true point guard. She's more of a 2. They lost Aaliyah Butts, who was supposed to be the starting point guard, the senior leader, to an injury preseason as well. And as we mentioned in the outset, both of these teams very similar in terms of kind of the journey that they've taken thus far this season.
Well, yeah, both teams have lost their go-to player, really the player that you expected to lead the team. Both teams have dealt with changing lineups and injuries. And they're playing through it.
Collins gets her first bucket of the game. And now SMU back to applying that pressure that worked so well to open up this first quarter of action. Able to force a couple of Temple turnovers. Under 2 minutes remaining here in the first, here in Philadelphia. Perry able to get it inside, and Taylor the miss. Perry pushing. It's a first look at Morgan Smith, a freshman from Dallas, Texas, handling the ball. 10 seconds on the shot clock now for SMU. Jumper on the way and good for Jonasia Cash. And so look at Houston, 3-0 to get started off in conference play. They picked up a win over SMU, and then you see UCF right behind them. They picked up a win over the Owls in their last matchup. If you remember, it was Temple who finished second in the American a year ago with that great finish for Tanya Cardoza and that well-stacked veteran squad. And now fighting, as she said, this year to kind of salvage the season after the injury to her point guard, Aaliyah Butts. 3 straight 21 seasons. Also got a contract extension, which will keep her here in Philadelphia through 2021. Temple with 7 turnovers so far in this matchup. SMU trying to take advantage as the clock winds down in this first quarter of action. Kayla Reese. And a foul is called away from the ball. Shantae Taylor. That is her first. 27.4 seconds remaining on the inbound. Loose ball picked up by Temple. And that is a whistle. Mia Davis, she was driving strong to the hole. She draws the foul. And I'll tell you, Davis, that's a kid, she's not injured, but she's been dealing with flu-like symptoms. She had a 101-degree temperature yesterday in practice.
And Coach Cardoza just says she is tough. Even this take to the basket, she is a strong player. When I talked to Coach Cardoza about recruiting Mia Davis, she said, I wanted her because I didn't want her to go somewhere else and beat us. She's that type of player that if you let her get on another team, she's going to destroy you. So she wanted Mia Davis on this team.
She averages 11 points per game, 9 rebounds per matchup, almost a double-double just as a freshman. And I asked Tanya Cardoza, I said, is it more because teams are ISOing in on Atkinson and double-teaming her and it's allowing Mia to free? She said, no, it's none of that. She's like, it's Mia being Mia, doing exactly what I recruited her to do. And she's really grown leaps and bounds over the course of the season, but this is exactly the player they expected.
And she's fearless. She had 19 and 10 against South Carolina, one of the top teams in the country. I mean, she just plays like it's her out there on the court, same way every game.
A fearless kid. When they played South Carolina, was knocking down threes like it was nobody's business against the Trees, one of the top teams in the country. The shot clock winds down, and that one is airmailed by Jonasia Cash with 1.8 seconds remaining. So a big heave here for Temple to end the quarter. And just got to hold on to it. Jones.
Their shots. Everyone's sharing the basketball. That's when SMU thrives.
So SMU shooting 41% in the first quarter of play to Temple's 30%. And a lot of that helped out by SMU's full-court defense to start out the first quarter of play. They've backed off of that as this matchup has gone on. But when they go back to it, it's really slow Temple's attempt to get set up in their half-court offense, obviously, and has also created some turnover opportunities for SMU to cash in on. 5 seconds on the shot clock here for Reese. Driving to the hole and draws the foul. And that's what Travis Mays told his team yesterday. We're not going to beat Temple unless we can get to the free throw line and unless we can box out and make shots. And they're getting to the free throw line.
And what Coach Mays likes on offense are uncontested jump shots or fouls or a bucket, of course.
So get this possession, fresh 30 on the shot clock. And Morgan Smith, the freshman ball handler, coming along nicely. A lot of young kids on this SMU team, 4 freshmen. They've got 6 seniors, but those are kids that were not really recruited by Travis Mays and are having to kind of relearn a new system and a new culture.
And it's tough. It's tough when you're used to something and you came to a team with certain expectations and then you get a new coach. And so he's trying to just create his own culture and get everyone to buy in. And when they do that, they'll be successful.
And we love the bow tie, by the way. It's his normal sporting look. That shot back iron. Atkinson initially pulled down the rebound, and then Adams there to strip it out of her hands. Adams, a shot, and she airmails that three-pointer. Again, that's not really SMU's game. They did have a couple that were able to fall, and then Atkinson, what a beautiful offensive set there for Temple.
And that's what they do best. Tanaya Atkinson in transition is something that is very difficult to stop. The way that she read her teammate and got space to get to the other side for the layups, very great play.
Perry, it's front iron, and Atkinson is there, flying in for the rebound. Atkinson draws the foul, and I'll tell you, she is the real deal. She is all over the place.
And she's just so strong. I mean, she has the ability to hold on to the basketball and play through contact. And this is what Temple needs to do. They need to get a stop, make SMU shoot a tough shot, grab the board, and run.
Reese picks up her first foul. Atkinson, as we mentioned, has really worked on her game. 69% free throw shooter this year, gets the first one to fall. Monday night, we'll have the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T between Georgia and Alabama at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app with a special Spanish language production on ESPN Deportes. Whitfield inside. Let's look at Clara Bradshaw, their other big, as she tries to knock down the jumper. And it's out of bounds, and it's Temple basketball. It's back to that national championship game. I know you're a Tennessee girl. You can't really cheer for either one of those teams, Georgia or Alabama, but who do you have?
It's tough seeing both teams in the national championship, but I'm from Georgia, so I'm pulling for Georgia. You know, there's no love for Alabama in Big Orange Country.
An all-SEC matchup in that national championship. A lot of people not happy with that, but I think it'll be a good game regardless of the conference in the matchup. 7:32 here, second quarter of play, and it's been Temple playing from behind from the get-go of this one. It was a good open look for Imani Mayo, just not able to convert.
And one thing that Temple has done, they've put in Shantae Taylor, number 24 in white, gives them a little more size, so they're not playing that small ball. They're having her match up with SMU's bigs.
It was Taylor with the rebound on the other end. And streaking to the hole and hitting pay dirt, Imani Mayo didn't get it on the last trip and came down and tried again. Got the deuce. She's here with her twin sister, Nicolette Mayo. Imani on the full scholarship, Nicolette a walk-on. Morgan Smith tried to get that entry pass there, almost stolen by Temple. Now they've got 6 seconds on the shot clock here. Adams fires, and Atkinson with a rebound. Nice dish, and the finish, Mayo again.
And this is when Temple is at their best, getting the rebound, securing the ball, and pushing in transition. Imani Mayo with 2 nice finishes in transition for Temple.
Ty regroup with the change and the addition of Shantae Taylor into this Temple lineup, who started the game with a small ball mentality.
And that's how it goes with coaching. You think one thing's going to work, and then it doesn't, and then you adjust. Basketball is like a chess match. You play your pieces, and you just see how the game goes.
Whitfield gets it inside to Cash, and a turnover. Temple has the basketball, and a whistle is called as Micaiah Jones hit the deck. It's Perry's second foul. Got a couple of players sit with 2 fouls. Six minutes remaining before the half. And it's a tied matchup here. Temple down by as many as 10 in this game. Now they're just taking their time in the half court. Looking for the open shot, and they got it. Jones for three.
Micaiah Jones coming off her best game at Temple so far, their last game against UCF. She can bring a lot to this team, especially when it comes to maturity, since they've lost their senior point guard.
There's a long two, and it's a long two on the other end for Clara Bradshaw, knocking down her first bucket of the game.
And SMU has gone back to a zone defense.
10 seconds here on the shot clock. Atkinson, ball is stripped. It's loose. SMU has it. And a traveling call, oh my goodness, for Whitfield. She was about to take that ball off to the races and got called for the extra step. And Travis Mays not happy about that, but here's a look at that zone defense you were talking about.
And this is going to help SMU. Temple got off to really scoring in transition, so now SMU is just sprinting back into this zone defense and cutting off driving lanes for Temple.
So, shot here, rims out. Adams baseline, off the glass high. No, a fight for the ball. Still in the air. And Temple has it. Atkinson on the move. Atkinson flying in. Pretty move to the basket.
That's her game. That is hard to stop.
And on the other end, Clara Bradshaw gets there before everybody else does and utilizes that 6'6" frame. A transfer from TCU. And she's come off the bench and added a spark to SMU. Kick out to Nayan. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Three-pointer on the way, and it's short. Ball out of bounds. And we'll stay here as Deja Thomas checks back in. She's been on the bench with a couple of fouls early in this matchup. So 2 seconds on the shot clock here. 3:45 remaining before the half. And it's been a battle here in the second quarter of play, with Temple coming back on an 8-0 run to start this quarter, after being down by as many as 10 in the first. Mia Davis fires, no. And another traveling call, this time on Morgan Smith and Travis Mays. He's going to pull players when that happens. He pulled Whitfield the last time it happened on the same end.
And that's what he does. Even in practice yesterday, when there's something small, he wants to pull you out. He wants to talk about it. He wants you to understand what he needs from you. And little travel calls like that, those are frustrating for coaches.
As he said yesterday, you know, I got to get you guys prepared and ready to go for these games, but you're the ones that have to go out there and execute. But when it comes to practice, I'm going to win my practices. And he said yesterday, I won my practice.
And he definitely won his practice.
Very tough, very efficient. Said he's taken a little bit of everything from all the Hall of Fame coaches he's learned from over the years. Jody Conrad, Andy Landers, Van Chancellor, at SMU, or excuse me, at LSU. SMU working with 6 seconds on the shot clock. Adams with the ball. Trying to find an opening, 2 seconds. Bradshaw just gets it off, and she is well short. So good defense there by Temple.
And Morgan Smith was actually cutting to the wing. She's a knockdown three-point shooter. Bradshaw kind of snuck that one from her. But this is great defense by Temple. Like I said, they're just all over SMU's players, and they've really taken a step up from their defense in the first quarter.
It's a 5th turnover of the quarter for SMU. Got off to such a great start in the first quarter of play. And remember, they backed off from that full court, that pressure defense we saw early on, which really harassed Temple. And they were never really able to get into a rhythm because of it. And now the tables have turned, and it's the defense turned up by Temple, causing issues for SMU.
number 25, Mia Davis. That's her second.
So Mia Davis heads to the bench. That is her second foul.
And this has been a tough matchup for Mia Davis so far this afternoon. She's caught behind Bradshaw. She has to work to get her arms loose and kind of get a three-quarter wrap or really just deny the basketball from Bradshaw down low.
She's only got 3 points so far here today. That's a kid that was pulling down almost a double-double in the last two matchups, leading the team in scoring the last two games for Temple. Good ball movement by the Owls. Some patience, and Atkinson draws the foul. And that's a little bit of what we didn't see maybe in the first quarter of play, is just that sort of good ball movement and patience.
And player movement. I think in the first quarter, Temple looked stagnant. They were kind of passing and standing. These last few possessions, they're getting a lot of movement. That was a great job by Tanaya Atkinson. As the zone was shifting to the right, she saw a lane and attacked.
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be the third foul for Deja Thomas. She was on the bench the most of this quarter because she picked up two very quick fouls in the first quarter of action, and she's going to have to go back to the bench with the 3 fouls. And that takes away some of the size for SMU. She's 6'2", and she's actually the kid that led the way against Temple a year ago, and that loss was a leading scorer for SMU, scored 18 on the road here in Philly. Adams coming over for some help, hits the back iron. Offensive rebound is there by Perry. A three-pointer on the way from Morgan Smith, and she gets it to go.
I think she was 3 or 4 feet behind the line. That's what she does.
30% shooter from downtown. Smith just a freshman. SMU back up by 3. Temple did have the 1-point lead. That's a three-pointer on the way. No for Mayo. Fight for the rebound. They push it ahead to Collins, who is all alone. And Collins loses the basketball, but it will stay with SMU.
And one thing I want to look at is Tanaya Atkins' defense down low. She has been battling in the post. All down low, you see she's fronting. She's getting a three-quarter wrap here on the baseline. That's what Coach Cardozo wants Mia Davis to do down low against SMU's bigs.
Janasia Cash fighting for the offensive rebound in the putback. And the extra hustle hits pay dirt. 5-point lead for SMU. Temple, they've gone cold. This is their last 5 field goal attempts.
And what's happened with SMU, what they're doing, they're going to their press on made baskets. So it's kind of like a downhill spiral. They make a basket, then they go into their press, really making it tough on Temple.
Atkinson had a good look, split the defenders to knock down the deuce. So far, she's got 14 points to lead the way. We haven't even hit the half, though you're going to hear more from her at the half. You had a nice little interview with her as that goes down for Adams to split the difference. And SMU extends the lead 32-27. Atkinson will take this final shot, hits back iron. Collins with a rebound, and pretty exciting game here. See the 8 different players there. Tanaya Atkinson needs some help. She's got the 14 points, far and away the leader for Temple. And her second leading scorer on the team, Mia Davis, only has 3 points so far in this matchup. She's had quite the tough defense here today of Collins. That was something you noticed in the first half of play, and you see her trying to trail her there. Just a little bit of a mismatch in terms of size.
And what she has to do is what Coach Cardozo talked about in practice. She has to move her feet, and she can't let Stephanie Collins get into her body and seal.
From the free throw line, the miss by Cash. Both teams still looking for that first win in the American Conference this season. Temple 0-1 after after losing to UCF, who shot 50% in that game to win that one, and then SMU 0-2 after losing to Houston and UCF. And the ball finally gets down into the cylinder. Davis with a deuce.
And that's what Mia Davis can do. She had a tough first half, but if she hones in on getting those offensive boards and getting some putbacks, she could get on a roll.
It's coming into our house. Ball loose, SMU will have it. So we've seen quite a few adjustments from both coaches already in this game. Interesting to see what this third quarter will look like. Atkinson hits the ground. She is fouled by Adams. Check that. It's going to go against Cash.
And look at this rebound by Atkinson. She is so high off the ground above SMU's post players, 6'5" post players down low. She's skying high to get the rebound. She is an athletic player.
Top 20 nationally in several categories, top 10 in terms of shooting. And her free throw percentage, free throw attempts, free throws made. Again, the kid that came off the bench last year as the 6th woman, getting starter minutes. Won the American Athletic Conference 6th Player of the Year award because of it. And this year, it's all about her after losing the 5 starters from that team a year ago. She is the leader and needing some help here today, and hopefully that spark from Mia Davis will be the answer. Davis with the basketball. Kick out. Atkinson with an open three. Got it.
And that's one thing that she worked on this summer, adding to her game the three-point shot. Looked so smooth from the corner.
Collins really looking for some help. Going to get called for the travel. And a better job by Mia Davis this time, defensively.
And that was nice activity. You saw she kept her feet moving when Stephanie Collins had the ball, just trying to throw her off her game.
Tanya Cardoza says, I know Mia Davis doesn't look the part. Not the most athletic, not the fastest, but she just gets things done. And doing a lot of the dirty work here today to help her team out. Adams, the kick out. Perry for 3, no.
And there's another big rebound by Tanaya Atkinson. She's all over the place.
Another three-pointer on the way. Mayo again, hitting pay dirt from outside.
And one thing I love about Imani Mayo is how confidently she shoots the basketball.
And on the other end, speaking of that, Adams looking very confident on the jumper. Had some room to operate. Atkinson going strong to the hole, beats Collins, just does not get it to fall. Perry, turnaround. Gets her miss. And we'll reset the offense.
And one thing that Coach Mays talked about when we talked to him was how Mackenzie Adams and Kiera Perry seem to be hot on separate nights. If he can get both of them to have great productive nights together, he thinks that it'll really help their team get wins.
And again, we mentioned it's a team that's still trying to figure things out right now after losing their key, their bread and butter, their go-to player, and Alicia Froling, who actually made the trip. We had a shot of her earlier, tore her ACL, and he's got 6 seniors on this team, and everybody's still trying to buy in and trying to figure out how he wants things done, what he wants done in terms of his offense, his defense, and the program in general.
And he felt like she was the one that figured it out.
There's a look at Froling as you see the roster by breakdown. 4 freshmen to 6 seniors. In his 2nd season, trying to change the culture, turn things around. Added that team to a 19-13 record a year ago with a pair of WNIT wins as well. Ball kicked out, and SMU will have it. It's good defense on this end by SMU, harassing Temple.
And Tanaya Atkinson has had nice seals down low. Her teammates just have to figure out how to deliver the ball to her. That last pass by Mia Davis, it would have been 2 points if she had a little more lift on the pass.
That was the first turnover of this quarter for Temple, who had 7 in the first. They cleaned it up, had 1 in the second quarter. Sitting with 9 right now. Adams on the runner. And it's Mia Davis pulling down the rebound. Obviously feeling much better. Had that 101-degree fever as she knocks down the 3. Has a wide open look, and the freshman gets the job done.
And one word that Coach Cardoza used when talking about Mia Davis was unbothered. She can have a tough half, she can have a tough quarter, and she doesn't let it phase her. She just keeps playing.
Nor the stage, and you're talking about the big stage. They battled South Carolina, and she was able to knock down 3s against Don Staley and company. No problem.
And this three-pointer, this is what she can do. She scores in such a variety of ways. She's a tough freshman. We're going to hear a lot about her in the next few years.
She's a tough freshman, plays tough. Also just picked up her 3rd foul, by the way. So that's something to keep an eye on as this game goes on. Again, she was sitting at just 3 points here at the half. And Tanya Cardoza able to find ways to get the freshman involved. I mean, you've seen a lot of players in your time. Your thoughts on the skills of the freshman, although she's not quite having her best game perhaps, but what you've seen so far?
Well, I really like her game because of her effort on the offensive glass and then her skill set. When you have a 4-player that can knock down that trail 3, that's huge because it brings the defense out, opens lanes for your guards. She could be a key piece for Temple.
That's a 3-pointer all the way, and down it goes for Micaiah Jones. So Temple a little streaky with a 3 all season, but when they get hot, they are on.
And Temple is a team that gets hot, like you said, and when they get confidence, they can really put points on the board.
Turnover. Temple pushing. It's Reynolds. She draws the foul. So another 3 for Temple. And they have found the outside shot here this afternoon.
Micaiah Jones, she's a graduate transfer, bringing some 3-pointers for Temple.
You're acting so funny. What's wrong, Billy?
To ask you about Tanaya Atkinson. You had an interview with her that we'll see a little later in this game. You're talking about one defensive player in yourself, talking to one offensive player in Tanaya Atkins. How did that go?
Well, I definitely love defense. That was my bread and butter back when I played, but it was so great to talk to Tanaya Atkinson and just what she has done to become such a strong offensive player. And we say offensive player, but really she's an all-around player. I mean, she plays hard on every end of the court.
She's got 17 points so far here today. And that was Shantae Taylor running into some trees. A foul is called. The sophomore from Columbia, South Carolina, and really the catalyst, if you will, in inserting her into the lineup in the second quarter to get Temple back into this game.
When she came into the game, things really turned around for Temple because the guards didn't have to help as much down low. They could focus on their players on the defensive end.
Collins back into the matchup for SMU. Collins with just the 2 points here today. You see Temple extending that defense. Three-pointer on the way. Won't fall for Morgan Smith. And an offensive foul is called. Temple basketball. Reese Bradshaw, will pick up her first foul. And on that end for the SMU Mustangs, Thomas has been sitting out with her 4th.
And we've been talking about Atkinson all game, but look at the box out on Kiera Bradshaw. Just pushing backwards, that's something that a lot of players don't do. They get in front of the offensive player, but they don't bend their knees and push backwards. It was a great job by Atkinson.
Was something that Coach Mays, when we were watching his practice, was telling his players over and over and over again, look like an H.
Yes, exactly.
And so what does that mean, look like an H?
Well, look like an H, when he says that, that means he wants his offensive post players to sink their hips, get their hands out, and form an H. And you can't hook the defensive player with one arm, then you look like an S. If you can picture it, if your hands are up and your feet are square, you look like an H.
Good job, Coach Carter. Able to explain that out. Jones fires, air mails it, and cleaning it up. Atkinson trying to, gets her own miss, and will reset the offense. 3 minutes remaining here in the third quarter of play. Temple taking their time. Reynolds off the mark. Perry streaking to the basket and is fouled on her way over. And grabbing the basketball there is Collins, who, by the way, check out her running shoes. So explain to us why she's in running shoes.
Well, she's been having some trouble just with pain in her feet. And so she says that basketball shoes hurt her feet. When she walked into practice, I thought she forgot her shoes. But the SMU staff said, no, those are her game shoes. That's how she plays.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. You have to do whatever works for you. Whatever's going to make you feel the best, that's what you need to do.
She's going to check out the senior from Australia, who provides 4 points per game on average for this team, 4 rebounds as well. She's a pretty efficient shooter, though, shooting 50% on the season. Also represented Australia in the 2012 World University Games. So you have 2 kids from Australia on this SMU team for Travis Mays, Bradshaw, and Collins. Mia Davis, kick out to Atkinson from the elbow. Early in this quarter, it looked as if Temple could do no wrong on the offensive end, and now it's almost as if there's a lid on the basket. Bradshaw trying to get her own miss. Utilizing her size again and draws the foul. That creates such a mismatch at 6'6".
And she's able to just get into the body. That's the H we were talking about earlier. Both hands up, feet square to the passer. That's what Coach Mays wants, and it paid off.
And Mia Davis picked up her 4th foul, so she is going to head to the bench. Again, maybe not the most productive day for her offensively, but boy, she did a lot of the dirty work.
And she does, and that's what Coach Cardoza likes about her. She never stops working, and you see her getting coached up. She's still learning. She's a freshman, but she's a huge piece to the team.
At the 8 points and the 4 rebounds, she takes a seat on the bench with the 4 personal fouls. 2 minutes in this third quarter. Streaking to the hole, Berger. And the blocking foul is called. Berger's had a pretty good day in her first game back after missing 2 due to that finger injury. She's got those fingers taped up. We saw it sort of affect her on one shot, but really not so much for the rest of this game.
No, I think she's played very solid, and you haven't seen it in her passes. I think she's made great passes.
Sure.
Even with tape on her finger, in that last possession, the play to lead to free throws, puts it in her left hand and attacks the basket, which was a great decision.
So that first free throw goes down, her first bucket of the game, and gets 2 for her stat line thus far.
And that might be trouble for SMU. Sometimes all it takes for a shooter is to see it go in the basket, even just coming from free throws.
So we'll see if she can get going. Here with a quarter remaining in Philadelphia. It's a wide open look for Thomas. Go inside, back to Thomas. Converts on the high percentage shot this time.
And a nice quick find by Kiera Perry off the rebound.
on in this game, SMU had an opportunity to work inside out. Now Temple, they were dropped down 4 threes in this quarter and have not been able to knock one down since about the midway point of the third.
In that last possession, they missed an opportunity. There was a mismatch down low. Michaela Reese at 5'8" was guarding Shantae Taylor.
Bradshaw turns around, draws the foul again. How hard is it to be disciplined when you have a mismatch in terms of defending a kid that's 6'6" like Clara Bradshaw?
Well, it's so difficult, especially when she's able to get into your body and feel it. One thing that I think Shantae Taylor can do, she's got such long arms. If she goes straight up and keeps that verticality, she's going to be able to disrupt a lot of shots without fouling.
And she just picked up her second foul. She's played well the last 2 games. Played well in practice yesterday. Bradshaw with 9 points so far in the matchup for SMU. Make it 10. Now SMU back to that pressure. Saw it in the first half of play, and it worked out very well in their favor, forcing Temple into committing 7 turnovers. Atkinson, 6 seconds on the shot clock. Needing some help. Kicks it back outside. They swing it around. Shot is up and off the mark. And now here comes SMU. Ahead to Bradshaw. Has it stripped out of her hands and is fouled. Bradshaw will go back to the locker room. She's got 10 points so far in this game. Adams in to shoot the free throws. On our next Super Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, number 11 Texas A&M battles number 17 Kentucky at Rupp Arena. Then it's the 13th ranked Boilermakers taking on Michigan at Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor. SEC Big Ten doubleheader on ESPN, also available on the ESPN app. Michigan with that 7-game winning streak. Got that big day with Purdue, then Michigan State on January 13th, the number 1 men's basketball team in the country. Third tie of the ball game, and that is going to end the third quarter of play. So this could.
Now, you told me earlier that you grew up watching basketball. Who's your favorite player? Who do you model your game after?
So right now I love watching Tamika Catchings play. I feel like we're similar, not really, but I definitely try to model my game after hers because I love to see what she does on the floor.
Now, I know you're fearless on the court, but I heard you overcame a fear this year. Tell me about that.
So in Europe, we actually went to Paris and we went to the Eiffel Tower. Sadly, I'm afraid of heights, but we climbed the Eiffel Tower and I was up there, but I was scared a little bit, but I got through it.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
No fear here today. She's got 18 points, 7 rebounds as we start this fourth quarter of action. Ball thrown away on the other end for SMU. And now Atkinson, speak of the young lady we just saw in that interview, making the deuce on the other end.
And we talked, that interview was early this morning. I asked her, hey, this isn't going to throw off your game, is it? And she said no, and it has not. She's played so well.
20 points so far here this afternoon, and she's not done yet. Temple basketball, that's Jones, and she converts on the other end. That's a great look at Temple when everything is going their way and they're getting those opportunities out in transition and making it look so easy.
And that's what Temple does. That's what we talked about early on, what they needed to do to win. They're doing it so far to start the fourth.
Good sign for SMU. Clara Bradshaw back in the game after hitting the ground hard on her shoulder a couple of plays ago. Three-pointer, and that goes down. That's a good sign for SMU. And Deja Thomas, she's working with 4 fouls, but she provides such a spark for these Mustangs. We've seen her work inside and outside here today, a real catalyst for Travis Mays and company. Another three-pointer. Jones with a miss. The offensive rebound is there. Put back, no, by Taylor.
And you talked about Deja Thomas earlier and Shantae Taylor, both freshmen, and we've seen so far in this game that they have a lot of potential.
Smith, the bounce pass into Bradshaw. Now this is a battle that SMU is winning on the offensive boards, out-rebounding Temple in this matchup and having those second chance opportunities. Not able to convert on that end. Atkinson tried to tip it in for the putback, and a foul is called. These are two teams that are fighting, taking this down to the wire, trying to pick up their first win in conference play this season. Both didn't quite get off to the start that they wanted to in conference play. Temple 0-1 in the American, SMU 0-2.
And I've liked what we've seen so far from both teams. It's been a game of runs. Temple's gone on a run, and then SMU will respond, and SMU goes on a run, and Temple responds. And so I think that they've played really well so far.
And it's so early in conference play right now. You know UConn's going to be up there at the top. I mean, I think everybody knows that no matter what point at the season you're looking at the standings. But really, it's behind them. Houston, UCF, USF right now. And you see that logjam in the middle at teams at 2-1. It's really wide open for anybody at this point.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. There's so much time left for both of these teams to get hot in conference play.
Atkinson has the ball, and the last touch by SMU, so we'll stay here on this end. Atkinson will take a quick breather on the bench as Brianna Perry checks in for Temple. You don't see that too often. You feel like she's out on the court the full 40 minutes, even though that's certainly not the case. Averages about 35 minutes in a matchup. Taking a quick breather because they will need her down the stretch here in this fourth quarter of action. 2-point lead for the Owls. Go inside to Perry. SMU basketball. Whitfield sends it ahead. Was trying to get it to Collins, and it was telegraphed by the Owls. That's a foul called away from the ball. Thomas fouls out. That is her fifth foul. Again, we mentioned her relentless play on the defensive side of things, which cost her obviously with this fifth foul, but on the offensive side as well, working inside out here in the second half of play.
And that's a tough loss for SMU. She had a solid third quarter, knocking down jump shots and making plays.
Cash, no. And a stretch to keep that ball in bounds. Wow. Deja Reynolds. Full extension, the junior. SMU basketball, though. But great effort. And that's what Tanya Cardoza told me yesterday, that she loves so much about this team. They are in the gym, even when they don't have to be, to hustle, to try to get better. She's got a lot of young faces on this team, all wanting to sort of repeat what they did a year ago, finishing 24-8. So here's that hustle play again. Full extension by the freshman.
And this would have been, if this play would have worked out and led to points, it would have been a top 10 play. Deja Reynolds just stretching, and she's a lefty. She makes that pass. If that would have led to a score, we would have seen that on ESPN later.
Game-wise, she's young, plays the 2. Last 2 games, sort of the last woman up at the point guard position. Had to go to their 4th stringer in her at point guard after losing Aaliyah Butts, and then Berger had an injury. It's been a tough go with injuries and attrition for Temple this year. They're working through it. Perry called for the travel.
And we've seen that a couple of times from Brianna Perry, just putting the ball on the floor. She has the length and the athleticism to be a slasher, just has to get that footwork down to finish the plays.
a third straight turnover for Temple. SMU down 2 with the basketball. That's going to be an offensive foul. Another turnover. And Temple will have it. 4th turnover for SMU here in this quarter.
And Micaiah Jones, she's a 5th-year senior. She knows how to sell that push-off on the defensive end.
Both teams trading some turnovers. We'll see what Temple can do with it here. This free opportunity. Jones had a nice look. Collins with a rebound.
In that last possession by Temple, all 4 guards were outside of the three-point line. They got no movement. They need to look to continue that ball movement and player movement.
Under 5 minutes remaining in this game. Collins looking for some help. 8 seconds on the shot clock. They get it inside to Cash. With the right hand, not able to finish. Atkinson with the ball. Bounce pass inside, Jones. And that is stripped away by Cash. That is her 4th block here of the season. And she picks it up, steals it. And now we'll see what SMU can do with it on the other side. They're down 2 here on the road to Temple.
Chance points. If they can crash the offensive boards and get some putbacks, while for Temple, it's been transition points. So they need to look to run out and get some easy layups.
And in terms of that, SMU with the 14 second chance points to Temple's 6. So again, going with their strengths here in the final minutes of this one. Bradshaw, turnaround shot, won't fall. Give and go, Atkinson gets the bounce.
When we talked about points in transition, that's where Tanaya Atkinson thrives. They had a 2-on-3 chance right there, and they made the most of it.
She's got her 10th double-double of the season. Ball out of bounds. Stay on this end. It's hard to think a player like that has any fear. If you saw the interview with her and her fear of heights and conquering it by climbing the Eiffel Tower, she just plays so fearless. And I think this year, as opposed to maybe years past, she looks like a leader out there. She is taking charge of this team.
And we've seen it all game. I mean, she's talking to her teammates. She's battling down low in the post. She's pushing the ball in transition. We've seen a little bit of everything from her.
Again, last year she had so many other players around her, and she was the 6th woman off the bench, won that award in the American Conference. And as Coach Cardoza said, you know, she could take a night off. She had the ability to do that because of the players around her. Can't do that here today, and she certainly hasn't taken a playoff here this afternoon. She got maybe 3 minutes of a breather on the bench. That's it, as Cash converts for SMU. Temple still nursing this 2-point lead. Trying to walk away with her first victory in the American Conference. 3-pointer on the way, won't fall for Mayo. Atkinson gives him a second look, and Cardoza knows it's a critical juncture here. Let's call the time.
To win by 50 points every game. What he wants is for his players to be disciplined like UConn, and for all of them to play like they don't want to let each other down.
So there you go. If you're a recruit looking at SMU, it's a sign of things to come for the program under the guidance of Travis Mays, who's trying to pull off a victory here today on the road. Tough environment, tough place to play. They have not won a game here at Temple at all in the series history. Trying to do that here for the first time this afternoon. Adams fires. Jones on the move. Atkinson with some space. Both teams have been struggling at the point guard position, but both point guards have been playing pretty well here today. As that goes down for Cash, she has been a spark off the bench here today.
Jonasia Cash has been able to knock down outside jump shots.
8 points for her, And we are tied up at 52 with 2 minutes remaining in this one. Atkinson. She is denied by Bradshaw. And that got the entire SMU bench up on their feet. Chance to take the lead here. 5th tie of this game. Inside of Bradshaw. Turnaround shot, no. Mia Davis with the basketball. Atkinson, slow to get down the court. She's nursing that left ankle and is having a really hard time getting into position offensively for Temple. Not a good sign for the Owls. 8 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Davis will take it baseline. Got it. And a time the athletic training staff on that left knee or ankle. She came up short on the last play coming down the court. And Temple able to retake the lead thanks to Mia Davis, and we'll have to play here in this final minute without Atkinson. Nine seconds. Cash gets it to the midway point, and they're going to call the over and back on Jonasia Cash. It will be Temple basketball.
And the ball is bouncing, and does it hit? Does it pass is it the foot? The foot and the basketball. 2 out of 3 have to cross the line. So if the ball and the foot cross the line, that's an over and back.
16th turnover for SMU in this game. That was a big one. 40 seconds to go. 2-point lead for Temple, and they've got the basketball. Temple having to play without their star. Their senior leader, Atkinson, on the bench. 7 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Shot is up from Mayo and well short. 15 seconds to go. SMU a chance to tie, and the foul is called. No basket.
No basket.
Perry draws the foul, streaking to the hole.
Very lucky for Temple getting that foul on the floor. That would have been a shooting foul. It would have been an and one. Micaiah Jones just hustling and she was going for the ball, got the foul on the floor.
Travis Mays calls the work it out now.
And she's tough. She's a competitor. I'm not surprised at all that she's back in action.
Quick offensive play here for SMU. And a tie ball, jump ball, and the possession arrow favors Temple.
Possession goes to the Owls.
Another timeout call by Travis Mays. It's a 5th turnover of the quarter, 17th of the game for SMU, and that's one of the big stories in this game.
And Temple, right now, this possession, they have to take care of the basketball. What they can do is advance the ball up the court to avoid that full court pressure by SMU.
So this one has been back and forth between these two teams. SMU got out to a hot start to start the game. Then Temple came roaring back in that second quarter of action. And now this one's going to go down to the wire. 2-point lead for Temple. And they're going to have the basketball after the jump ball. Both teams looking for that first conference win of the season. And a foul called. It's going to go against Cash. And that is her third.
Big opportunity for Micaiah Jones. She's a solid free throw shooter. She can extend this lead.
Jones is an 80% free throw shooter. 5'8", a graduate student, transferred in from Georgetown. Hails from Raleigh, North Carolina. Huge opportunity here. And she hits the first one. misses the second one. So just a 3-point lead now for Temple.
In that player's huddle saying, do not foul the shooter.
And a quick foul. Berger. That is her first team foul. We should say she's got 8 assists here today, playing the point guard role, back after 2 games for a finger injury. That's a career high for her. Bradshaw, 5 seconds. And Atkinson fouls her.
And they had a foul to give.
Foul number 22, Tanaya Atkinson. That's her second. Team 4.
So 5.5 seconds remaining. It'll have to be a quick 3, and it is for SMU. That is off the mark by Whitfield. Bradshaw fighting for the basketball. It rolls out of